Hi there, welcome back to art. So I don't know about you, but I am getting a little tired of the long winter and so many hours at home. Most of us wish we could go somewhere, but we can't right now. However, we can travel in our imaginations. So today, I hope you'll join me, and we are going on a trip to the Caribbean. So get out your swimsuit, we'll see tropical flowers, we'll feel warm breezes, and we'll dive into the ocean and make a wonderful undersea scene. So stay tuned and I'll show you how. Okay, for this project, you're going to need a piece of watercolor paper or your sketchbook, your new markers, a Sharpie marker. If you like to plan ahead, you can have a planning pencil. You'll also need your watercolors, a paintbrush, and a cup of water. And one final thing you'll need for fun is, would you believe it, some salt. I've poured a little bit out in a little cup right here. And that's what makes the wonderful little bursts of white color that look like bubbles under the sea. So, to start, we're going to get out our Sharpie and we're going to just start with the ocean floor. And I am going to do a one-line design with maybe some seaweed and sea coral right along the bottom. There's some sea coral. Come up here, maybe a little seaweed. Just have fun with your ins and outs to do your ocean floor. There's some coral. Okay. Next, I am going to draw some fish, just like this artist did, who's done some gorgeous fish in the ocean. Aren't those beautiful? Wonderful colors. So I'm just going to do a little fish shape. I'm going to start narrow, a little bit fatter, maybe a nice fish smile, and some nice fishy fins. Don't forget that eye. And some fins up and down, and a nice fishy tail. Oh, I think right here I might like to do a little crab. Simple shapes. This crabby eye. And don't forget those pinchers. How about some crab legs? And some more littler fish. Just nice fish shape. Fishy eye. Maybe a bigger fish is coming along here. Nice big tail. Fins to swim with. Fishy eye. You get the idea. So fill your paper with lots of wonderful undersea creatures. You can do whatever you want. Now, for color, we are going to use our markers, but we're not going to color the whole things in. What we're going to do is the outline method that we blend with water. That way, we can make some wonderful color blending and have a lot of fun. So I might start with this piece of seaweed here. Instead of coloring it all in, I am just going to go around the outline with the dark green. And maybe I will add a little light green in the middle, just a little bit of a line. Because what I am going to do later is to blend that with water. So over here I've got my crab. I think I'm going to make him a nice red. I'll go around the outside with red. He's decided he's going to be a red crab. And maybe I want some pink coral over here. Oop, that's not very pink, so I think I'm going to add a little red around the edge to brighten it up. For my fish, maybe I'll do some stripes. Red to orange. Stay tuned. I'll show you how it goes in fast forward. Okay, so I've drawn my fish. I put away my markers with the lids on tight. And you notice I drew my colors into outline. I didn't color them in. And when I did it, I made sure that I picked colors that were friends next to each other on the color wheel. So the warm colors were the warm colors, cool colors were the cool colors. Now the fun begins. I'm going to take my brush, take the extra water off, and I am going to go over my lines with water and watch what happens. You see how the colors blend? I made that into a painting. Take the extra water off where your colors will blend a little too much. Just go over them gently. I'm doing all my warm colors first, and then I'll switch to my cool colors. That way, my brush will stay cleaner. Oops, here's another little warm color here. The nice reds and yellows. And here's a little warm colored fish with a little green background. Now I'm switching to my blues and greens. Ooh, look at how those greens blend out. And I am doing this carefully. If I go all the way over, back and forth, I might get a muddy mess. So I'm carefully keeping my colors inside my fish. Ooh, I like how that one turns out. The blues and greens are my favorites when it comes to blending. All right. Nicely blended. Now we're going to do the ocean. And to do the ocean, the first thing we're going to do is get our background wet. But we are going to leave a little white space around our fishes. So don't get it wet right up to the fish. Go leave a little space around your fish and just put some water on. You probably think, oh, this crazy art teacher is just painting with water. But what I'm doing is getting the paper wet. And what we're going to do next is something that artists call wet on wet painting. We're getting our paper wet. Notice I'm not going right up to the black line. I'm staying away from my black Sharpie lines. And I made sure I used a Sharpie to outline my fish because I didn't want that black line to get wet and fade out. Now I'm going to add the color. I'm going to add a little ocean blue. I'm going to dab it on. Add a little green, let the colors blend. I'm getting it, this has to be very watery. And my paint paper is starting to bend a little bit, but I will just curl it up. Dabs of blue, dabs of green, and you notice when they hit that watery background, they start to blend. And I am leaving some white space around my fish because I want them to show up. Leave a little white space. It's like your fish have a little white halo, so they'll really show up. Now, while I'm painting, oops, yeah, that went over there, and all I have to do, if that happens, is take a little tissue. I only have a paper towel, but the tissue is a great idea to have when you're painting, and dab straight up, and I fixed it. So that was an accident, but I'm glad it happened because then I can show you that it's very easy to fix accidents in art and turn them into happy accidents. All right, now while the paint is still wet, and this is important, the paint has to be wet, I'm taking a very small pinch of salt, not too much, and sprinkling it from up high. Now what happens sometimes is kids say, oh, it's not working, and they add more salt, more salt. You don't want too much salt. You want to let it work. It takes a few minutes. In art, you sometimes have to have patience. I'm going right to the edge because I have a messy area here. If you're at home, make sure you put down a messy mat. All right, now I think I've filled it all in. And now I have to wait for that magic to happen. I'm going to put away my art supplies and we will come back in a few minutes and see what the salt did. So now I've put away all my art supplies and I've had time for this to dry, and look at what happened where we put the salt. You have these wonderful patterns. So have fun experimenting with the salt and the watercolor, and when you're all done, don't forget to send me a picture of your work. I can't wait to see it.